Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Full Grammar Alchemist. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will, and I will remind you again, we weren't live last week, but we did a video last week, because the previous week we weren't going to be live because we needed to take a break, but then we got news, and last week we weren't going to be live, but then we got news, and so now we're just back. We're just back. To your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, the DMO73, and I'm joined by time-spinning witch emissary Mike Rance.
I really love it when the company puts things out literally 15 minutes before cast. It's really cool.
It's really fun. I love it. It makes sure it's a wild ride. And Utsune's emissary, Paul Reisman.
I'm so old, I remember when they made chocolate. And I always hated it. I'm also sick.
Yeah, Paul's sick. So let's give Paul some love in the chat.
I've been sick for 3 weeks.
He's
this
been,
is my third week.
He's been very sick.
Let's go.
He's been very sick. Very sick, but that hasn't stopped him. We're here. We're getting to talk about some cool stuff. Just a few little pieces of housekeeping first. If you like what we do, want to consider supporting us, you can click that join button down below. If not, like and subscribe is always good, and share it out with your friends. And are you free the weekend of October 17th and 18th? Because if you are, you should go over to rulerschooltcg.com and sign up for our Ruler School Discord event, our Ruler School Circuit Kit event, because the Circuit Kits finally came in. Hooray! We'll be running a Paradox event over those 2 days. It is Paradox current ban list, but pre-Antechamber. So essentially, Worlds format minus the Antechamber Paradox cards, because they're not out yet. It's going to be over webcam. People aren't necessarily going to have ways to print proxies, and that's just a whole mess. So we're just saying Paradox current ban list, pre-ATD, for your chance to win this. We have the top 8. We have the top 8 mats, as well as the Uber version of synthetic homunculus. You also can get prize wall points for FowFest 2026, which is going to be exciting. Someone get Paul some soup. We're trying to will Paul some soup in existence. But if Paul was a soup, what soup would Paul be?
What soup would I be? Question of the day.
If soup was a sandwich, what sandwich and soup? Eat hot soup.
If Paul was a sandwich, what soup would he be?
Italian wedding. That's all I got.
Italian wedding sandwich. Nice.
That's a pretty good one.
Okay. So we have that piece of news, obviously, so please get signed up for that. You get prize haul points just for signing up, so it's well worth your time. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's a cool way to play the competitive format, because honestly, this Paradox format has been super fun to explore. I've been really enjoying it. Paul and I have both been really enjoying it. So that's what we're going to be starting with a little bit. Is ATD cards are now available to kind of proxy up and use. Paul and I have been recording some Wanderer feature matches for it. I haven't recorded any Paradox stuff for it, primarily because our locals doesn't have proxy stuff. So I've been trying to keep at least the Paradox decks like pre-ATD, and then having a Wanderer deck that Paul and I are trying to record. But testing on Tabletop Simulator, I have been playing Paradox with post-ATD stuff, and boy howdy is it fun. The ATD cards are so much fun. Utsune's best deck, right? Paul, what are your thoughts on Utsune? Let's start with that. We talked about Time Spinning Witch and Utsune. So what's your experience been playing with Nocturne, the theater?
She is so much better. So I always thought Utsune's was just on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
Nocturne very much puts her in contention for a solid deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's so exclusive and it does so much work that I don't know, man. The card's really
and she gets
good.
to use Scrivener now too, which I think is really relevant. having access to Scrivener, I think, has been a really cool tool for her too. I do think that sub ruler is a really nice way. One, I think it makes the oaths suddenly all a lot better, which I think is great because that was a really cool card.
Tons.
It was a really cool card type that was just like not quite, like almost undertuned because of how they were designed, and
Yeah.
Scrivener just by itself suddenly makes all of them so much better and playable in a way that I think is really cool, that that sub ruler is usable by any of the Trinity cluster rulers. You think of like Gandinia, Utsunes, Aideen, the Helens, you like all of them suddenly are like, oh, okay, we can like
Yokoshima.
Yokoshima if he wants to use a sub ruler, Robometa and Goliath, like Misung, although Misung not necessarily
Zaki.
Zaki, like they all functionally have almost that final piece of their engine available because they can make use of the oath so much easier, which I think is a really cool point. And we'll certainly be exploring that a lot. But if you have, if people have lists that they have encouraged, we would love for you to send them out to us because we're looking for that.
Absolutely.
So to that point, Mike, from your game design perspective, what is your thoughts on this idea of specifically kind of at the tail end of a cluster giving such a cool tool that can be used by almost the entire cluster that we just had drop? And like, what's your thought process on the design space? Do you like that? Like, as kind of a reason to look back at these older rulers? Like, what's your headspace at for that kind of thing?
Yeah, I really like the idea of like kind of going back and adding support in for older rulers, of course. You know that I've been even when New Frontiers was the main set and Wanderer was barely a thought, I was still shilling Wanderer at a long time in the game's history. And the moment we started getting stuff that was designed for Wanderer rulers, like I could even go back to as far as Vingolf 3. Even that was part of Lapis Cluster, and by the time it moved into Lapis Ray Cluster, we didn't have half the cards that supported some of them, but it was still there for that support for Wanderer, and it was really nice to have it. Um, so I think yeah, just making cards that support older archetypes, kind of give them a little extra boost, move them into the future, especially because the game now is vastly different. I would say from the time period where some of these cards were relevant. Like
Right.
I think that this format where there was no counterplay other than Lorite to your distortion of time, and everybody was just hazing each other for turns and turns on end. But now it's an entirely different game plan that still makes use of Witch's unique tools.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the cool part, especially because like it's also you see it kind of bridging the gap between older and newer. Because like we mentioned, I'm a Witch stand, Paul's a Mitsune stand. Both of them can use this card in such a unique way compared to one another.
Yeah, for sure. I do know that I do think that like time spinning witch theater looks much different than Utsune's theater, like for sure. And we certainly will be
But it's based
visiting.
off the same card,
Yeah,
and that's why it's so interesting.
yeah, that's what I really do like about it because like it's the same card and you clearly see the inspiration of the card for both rulers, and then you're like, oh, but these rulers are going to be so different, which I think is really fun. And we'll certainly be revisiting Time Spinning Witch with theater. Our first theater deck is Utsune's, and then we're gonna go visit some of the other stuff, and we'll come back to Time Spinning Witch for sure. I definitely want to get that on the channel because I think it's just very exciting. We just uh,
Also,
go ahead.
one other quick fact: the fact that we do have a card like Theater, and especially because of how like the community's been engaging in it, the fact that like a lot of people have been very well receptive to Theater after
Yeah.
issues that like
Yeah, for sure.
but we're not gonna like nitty gritty aside. The fact that the card itself is support for a modern ruler, modern in big quotes, of course, because it's a few sets ago, but still within the cluster, and also something further back, it should incentivize the company to design more cards that eke out the ideas of older cards as well. Like obviously we have the masterpiece set, so we can kind of revisit it. There's some rulers that have some synergies here and there between what the old ones did, and it's just like even if you go further and further back from there, go into Ray Cluster, find like I don't know, what do they have, like blood counters or something? Mystery counters.
Yeah,
Sorry,
mystery counters. Yep.
like we haven't seen anything of mystery counters. We had somebody who had strength counters, and that's something that you can eke out into you design space for. There's a lot of cool things that you can just kind of like remold into something new.
Yeah. I think that's really cool too. And these like little mini sets, they talked about it today in the Q&A video that like if things like this, is little mini expansions like ATD, which I will also talk about that confirmation here in a little bit. If those kinds of things are more popular, we could see it happen more often, which I think is great. I think that's such a cool way to kind of not necessarily have to wait for a masterpiece to say, okay, I want to go back and look at all this other stuff. We get kind of these little like sprinklings of tangential support for the whole game, which is I think is really, really sick. Speaking of the Q&A video today with what they know about ATD, we know 4 ways that ATD cards are being attainable. First off, they did say that every single player at Worlds who's participating in the main event will get at least a playset, or a playset of at least the Paradox cards. That makes me think that it's a playset of everything, because like that feels weird that you're only going to print like half of this card, whatever. But they in the video, I'm not going to put words in Rio's mouth. His specific words were, "We'll get a playset of the Paradox legal cards." But at least for now. So that's step 1. 2, they're going to be available in the store at Worlds in 10 card booster packs. So like 10 card booster packs for only 25 unique cards means that you won't have to buy a bunch to probably get what you need, which is great. And then also they will be in box topper packs in set 3 of set 2 of Evil Cluster, I think he said. And then also sprinkled in at lower rarity inside packs of Masterpiece 3. So that's like great. And if that's the model for doing these little like sprinkled bonus sets moving forward, I'm like all for it. I think that's great. People will have easy access to it. I think it's awesome. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Like it a lot. I do too. Yeah, 1,000.
We can.
1,000 yen for those packs. Thank you, Robert, for asking that. I will want to say, don't worry. I know I have 130,000 yen set aside just for the FowFest price wall. I will not buy out all the packs of ATD. I promise. Don't get me wrong. If there's a bunch left, I will buy a bunch of them for the FowFest prize wall, but I will not buy them out. I got to diversify. But pretty exciting for people to be able to get that. I think that's just a really cool way to do that product, which is really nice. Yo-Yo Val, I wish there was more competitive Wanderer with access to the new cards sooner. Yeah, I mean, I get that for sure. I think that was certainly echoed today in the Q&A video, too, is a lot of players saying, like, we're hungry for more events. I really do encourage people to play in the Q&A, or to play in the OLS every single week. We played last Friday. I even played in it. It was a ton of fun. Which was, I think, really exciting. That's just a really fun way to play. Every single week, it's totally free to play, and you can play via tabletop simulator, webcam, or whatever. I had a great time. Fox went undefeated. Fox. Sorry, I just gotta get on that soapbox real quick. Now you can.
Sorry,
Don't
like
worry.
Fox?
I do. I like Fox. Drink. I said Fox. Drink. I said Fox.
You know Steven's not here.
I did.
He's still in the ER.
Yeah, yeah. Holscheiser's not doing so great. So that was really exciting news to come out of it. The other things that were mentioned in the video today, I think, was, the company is aware of areas of limitations that they kind of like want to work through, which I think was great. And then some other things just in general about ATD that I really enjoyed is that it has really the cards, while some of them are very generic, they very clearly have focuses on rulers that I do not think any of us were expecting to get love this soon. For instance, Arla, Faria, and Melgis from Alice Origins Cluster. Those are rulers that are suddenly got got some beautiful love, which I think is very cool. The new pirate ship is a regalia. And so we're working on getting a deck profile together for that to put on the channel with like Alice Origin Smelgus. There's so much cool stuff to be able to play around. And so for me, I think there's something that's different about ATD, different than ATD than Masterpiece Collections, where ATD is a love letter to like all of FOW, right? So it's really broad, it's really open, and it's got something kind of for everyone in terms of what your favorite era, quote unquote, of rulers is. Masterpiece Collection is very clearly like, oh, this is your favorite cluster, we're really going to give you the love. ATD is this nice little like nod to so much of FOW's history that I just think is so cool. And I'm really excited about it. You see, Paul literally was holding up the proxies that we made. As we're cutting them out. I've got them on my desk. I've been cutting them out as we build decks. It's just such a cool way to like really get us into the groove, and I'm really excited to see what Worlds is going to bring. I will say, I've been kind of expressing some sadness that like, not really sadness, because it's like I love what I do when I go to Japan, getting able to commentate the top, the main event and the top 8, but there was part of me that was like, dang, really would love to play in that Day 2 Wanderer event. Like I've been doing at the rest of the GPs this season. But we're gonna commentate. It's gonna be a good time.
No, Jeremy, it's too important.
Hey, listen. Someone else will just have to pilot Fox for me. Fox mentions drink.
Water.
Logan Moses, the best thing about the new set is them changing surveillance. Yeah, I do also want to talk about that too. Paul and I talked about this a little bit in the video, and so I'm curious, Mike, your thoughts too, because Paul and I just recorded a video last week. So the company saw, whether it be through their own catching of something or listening to the player feedback that was come out when those ATD cards were spoiled, and saw, hey, we overtuned some of these cards to the point where we need to tune it back up. And beautifully, they were able to do that pre-production of the cards, in a way that made all of the 4 cards that they changed, I think, drastically healthier without making them unplayable. And I'm curious your thoughts on... We haven't really seen the company do that before. The closest we've come to that is where Rumsfeld got printed with the wrong text. And so then, like, Rumsfeld had a on-printing errata, which functionally changed the card. They confirmed that these updated texts will be on the card that is being printed. So there's no errata. It's just like, hey, we're actually updating you that the card effect itself has changed, which is interesting because they never said in development, but it's still really cool. So I'm curious your thoughts about that aspect of it, that they were like actively listening, actively talking to what seems to be like competitive players who kind of got their ear or caught their attention somehow, and we saw those healthy changes to cards before they were even printed. Like, what's your take on that?
I'm not sure I know. Full disclosure, I have not had a chance to actually watch the video today.
Sure, the video today didn't talk about it. It was on the September 23rd ban list update where they like did the 2 little mini combo bans and then told us that 4 of the cards, kind of like what you and I talked about earlier before the podcast, of how Theater got updated to no longer say X+1, it just says X. They also changed Valgot's Secret Surveillance in a way that makes it way healthier, and then they changed Osiris, and they changed Academy Grounds in ways that made them much healthier cards. So just that generic approach of like being willing to pre-product production, listen to feedback of what you presented, and make those changes, because those cards, when we were first showed them, didn't say in development. This is the company literally saying, we were going to print them as is, but we heard you and we're adjusting. And like I just think that's a really unique experience to happen. And so I'm curious your thoughts on something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do really like that approach, especially because like Force Wheel is not a large scale game. So the fact that like the player base that is playing it right now is as dedicated as they are and is as like vocal as they are, sometimes for the worse, but sometimes in this case for the better, where it's like, hey, just a heads up, like, hey, like even if they're saying it's something, if they're like, oh no, oh my god, I can't believe they did it again, oh that's crazy. It's like that's still like there's something out in the air. The company could be like, oh, we should keep an eye on that. That's not something we wanted to happen. So let's get it.
Yeah,
So
I really
you
do
know,
think that giving them credit for that is just something super important. And like Logan says, like gives you a lot more trust in them. To me,
yeah.
it gives me trust in the fact that they're paying attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which to be honest, I think overall, we have been seeing a much more. This game's been around for 12 years. We've been doing content on this channel about the game for a very long time. And there have been very big stretches of time where it seemed like the company wasn't necessarily showing that they were paying attention, right? So we kind of like, we think we're getting the hands in the right way, or kind of the reverse of that, where like they say they were paying attention, like back in the days with Jordan, where it's like we got what seemed to be this communication, but then like there was no follow through. So then it was like, okay, well, what is this really about? But now, ever since Rio kind of took over, and now that we've seen more and more stuff, there's just more and more little things here and there that just help to really, in my mind, take it with a grain of salt because it's me and I fully recognize, the link that we have on this channel to the game itself. Full recognition there. I do feel like
File
they've
shillage.
I do feel like they've come a long way in being much more cognizantly communicative about the fact that they're paying attention, and giving kind of some of that partnership onus to the community. It's not perfect because ultimately we don't own the game, and so I don't think we should expect to own the game. But any kind of clear messaging or communicative element that says like, okay, we recognize that we are kind of in this together, company and community, I think is really nice. And I think they're doing a really good job. And I think these changes are a really good indicator of that. Paul,
Yeah,
like,
if only
yeah,
other
go ahead.
companies communicated this well.
If only. I mean, you don't like have it suddenly finding out of nowhere that you're going to have to go to a double match loss if you can't finish 2 games in a time on round.
Yeah. Hey, we're moving to this new format because we want the power level to be lower. We want people to have more fun. So if only we had like a blog entry for that. Hint, hint, hint. Other game I used to play. Hint, hint.
Yeah, for sure. What, you didn't like finding out a whole new
game that
brand
now
new
is
format?
emulating.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Yeah. I go ahead.
Yeah. Our company here, I Spy, they're communicating very well.
Yeah.
And they're doing things very responsibly, and I really appreciate that. It's taken a really long time to get here, but the fact that we even have that, like so many other companies just don't do that.
Mhm.
And if they do it to some degree, like I know for Wizards, some folks are like, yeah, I mean, thank you for the information, but this kind of feels like double speak, right?
Right.
Like it's kind of getting into that.
Oh, there he went. CCG Prime literally said, "I'm only here to watch Mike Rants disconnect," and there it is.
And there we go.
Mike disconnected. Everybody drink soda. We don't perpetuate. Yeah, and tea for Paul.
We're not drinking on camera.
This is apparently a Mountain Dew Zero exclusive flavor, so I'll take that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's Roller School after hours.
Yeah, and even then, I'm still just drinking soda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think there's this element of like, Paul, you and I have played so many games like together. Like we played Yu-Gi-Oh for the longest time together, and then we tried Kaijudo in a little bit, and we've been running through the gambit of Force of Will's ups and downs over the course of time. And I just think there's so much of this communication element that is, hey, he's back. That is like you never know when an announcement is going to happen, and sometimes the surprise announcements are so drastic that it changes your entire outlook on the game, and you're just like, whoa, like everything's different. I mean, I think
Yeah.
of back, you and I were like going all in on Kaijudo before we found Force of Will, right? Because we were done with card games for a few years before we found Force. That we were all in on Kaijudo. We were like making content. We were having a good time. We were like even starting to set up, like figuring out trips to go play in bigger events and all this stuff. And then suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere, Wizards was like, "Nah, game's dead." And we were like, "What?" Like,
And it's gone.
like we didn't even have any kind of semblance that that was coming. Or like back when we played Yu-Gi-Oh together, it was the same kind of thing, right? It was just like, huh! Like you never really know when anything was happening, and it could just be really drastic. And that's still happening now with Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, I literally a big change. I'll tell you this: a big change happens in Yu-Gi-Oh. I watch card game videos, so my feed in YouTube suddenly becomes every big Yugi-tuber reacting to the exact same piece of news. So I read the news article and I send it to Paul and I say, haha, lol, look at what Konami's doing. And that's pretty much what happens constantly. And
Yep.
I
Can you confirm?
I don't feel that with FOW. And if anything, I more send positive things to Paul more often of like, look at this awesome, cool thing that happened that the company's doing. And not all of their initiatives are successes, right? But I always feel like even in the success, I always feel like I kind of know that it's coming for the most part. And if it doesn't work out, a recognition of like, yeah, this didn't quite work, right? Which I think is fine.
Business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
It feels like iSpy's trying to create a game, whereas like other companies are just trying to create money.
Right.
Yet. That being said, like Konami just released Genesis format, and people were like, "Oh my god, they actually communicated."
And
like,
then 2 days later had point adjustments.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, thanks for the feedback. We'll adjust that." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it's like being in Force of Will
all
day.
the time.
Every day.
All
Feels
the
good,
time.
doesn't it?"
Yeah, it feels great.
Other card games could aspire to be a little more like Force of Will.
Yeah, for sure. For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. It's just good stuff. And the new cards are so fun and like such excitement and seeing people play things in such unique ways and like being able to revisit it. It's just like we do have seasons in Forza Will, right, where it's like, okay, well, we don't necessarily know what we're gonna build next, or we're kind of, but for the most part, I still find myself like always wanting to build something new, right? I imagine it's kind of the same vibe that like Magic players feel about Commander, is that they're like constantly wanting to try to build more Commander decks. I see these videos and these like reels and stuff of like, oh, these are my 87 Commander decks, and I'm like, dang, that's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot, but I get that in the vibe of like always wanting to try something, build something new, and I do think that we're seeing that, and ATD I think is a great example of like a little spice to kind of keep that going. You know, if I had multiple of every card, multiple playsets of every card, I probably would find myself doing the same kind of thing. But nope, every 3 to 4 weeks I de-sleeve 4 decks and then build 4 new ones because that's how my life works on this channel. But it's just exciting and it's fun to do. Let's see. There is some kind of fun feeling when your opponent turn 1 sees you hit Crystal Pinnacle's Refuge of the Sidhe turn 1 with a new Gen Egg and Wildest Predator in hand. I don't know what that means. That sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh.
That is a lot of words. A lot of card game words.
Hasbro bought the company. It's all corporate tie-ins. Hasbro Legion of Doom. Please, it's the only thing that works in our company. But these are FOW cards? Crystal Pinnacle's Refuge of the Sidhe. New Gen Egg. Oh, Wildest Predator's the ABC card. That I know. New Generation is the addition for the egg. Crystal Pinnacles is the new stone, I imagine, if I'm trying to break those down. That's the new Dino Stone.
I'm just going through right now.
Yeah, you got it.
Hold on. I may not know all of these cards yet.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. I found it. It's right there.
I don't know a
Right.
single one. Oh, none of these
Yeah.
none of these card names are in the Bible.
You know what? Fair.
I feel like I'm
He's
not
got it.
wrong.
He's not wrong.
Okay,
Paul, please
but
fact check me.
which one of us is building the Zeus deck without Zeus?
Oh,
I don't know. IU Olympians. Ayush. Build me an IU Olympians deck and make me
I
build a single
summon you
deck.
to fulfill your oath.
summon
Make us a
Shogun.
Zeusless Zeus deck.
Yeah, summon us. So yeah, we've been really enjoying jamming with the new stuff. I've been really excited for everything here. You know, again, I do think massive kudos. I'm looking forward to seeing what's more. What other news did we kind of get out of the thing today? Not a lot. Mostly, a lot of people ask the same questions of like more events. Are we going to get a sim? Are we going to go to
The Sims
conventions?
thing,
That kind of stuff. They
yeah.
did talk about how they're continued to wanting to expand the number of competitive options. Right, that was a communication that was still happening. So hopefully we see that too this next
Yeah.
year. I know that I have a meeting with the company when I go to Worlds to talk about stuff for FowFest 2026. Getting that all.
There's that.
Oh, and they confirmed that the Memoria packs in the next set are ATD packs. Like they're
Yeah.
fully replacing those.
Yeah. Yep. Set
So
two
they're-
Memoria packs are ACD. So you only have to wait about
Yeah.
3 weeks from Worlds to get ACD packs. It just won't have the special
Which
frame.
is-
The AT.
Yeah, and one of the special frame. I don't believe they'll be hollow, and yes, they'll also be in Masterpiece 3.
So this custom
Um,
like book framing that makes them look like pages of a book, that's the Worlds exclusive framing for them.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
As far as we can tell, that's like that's the World's exclusive version of the framing. The card art will probably be
actually
the same.
Kind of okay with that.
The card art, I believe,
I'm
is
kind
going to
of
be
okay
the
with that.
same. The card art itself, the artwork itself, will be the same. It just won't have the special framing. Because if you look at
Yeah.
it, the behind the card images is a little stamp of the like crest of the school, which I think is really cool.
Oh,
It's a really subtle
no, the
detail.
world's exclusive is the foil full art.
Oh, the world's exclusive is the okay. Alejandro's here.
Alejandro.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for correcting me.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks for correcting me,
Hey
bud.
there.
The frame will
Hey
be the
there,
same all the
pal.
time. Okay.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful to know. Yeah, so like I thought that was a really interesting piece. The fact that these cards are just gonna be everywhere, I think that this is a really good way of just making sure that people will have these cards.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh hey, Rhea Block was my favorite cluster. I'm gonna jump back in. Oh, look at these cool new cards. I get this new type spinning witch card in this, and that's I just think that's a really good product design.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that people have these.
I just, I think again, there's so much, if we can get existential for a little bit, I really do think that the video today, the Q&A, is in some ways the company recognizing some of their limits, right? Is that you being existential? Is this pose?
Yeah, it's like existential.
Okay.
We're all gonna live.
Okay. So I do think there's this element of the company, I think, recognizes its limits, and I think is smartly not overextending. Right? Overextending is bad, both inside games of Force of Will and in business decisions. So I'm grateful that they're not about like its reach. Right? The biggest challenge I think Force of Will experiences right now, because inside of our community, I think so many good things are happening, right? I think players are really enjoying it. People are revisiting stuff. People are kind of sharing the game with their friends. Like they're like the small level expansion, I think, is very much there. There's just a problem of like, not necessarily a problem, but like a difficulty with reach to break out of the ethos of our small bubble. And really get ourselves into the zeitgeist of the general understanding of what's available with card games. And so I just, I hope that as more stuff happens, we get more opportunities to do that. We're certainly going to look into ways that we can try to support. That's part of the conversation that I want to have with the company when I worlds as well. Of like possibly trying to use things like FowFest funds as part of a way to then kind of channel that into maybe getting a booth at PAX Unplugged or an indie con here or there or like that kind of thing, to try to serve as an ambassador for that reach. Yeah, I hope that we can continue to expand that, because I definitely think that the company's doing so many good
Yeah.
things right now that it's just like, oh damn, this is pretty sick. I just wish we could kind of megaphone it a little bit more. So
Yeah. Well, and like to the company's credit, I mean, the fact that they are like, hey, we're gonna reformat this, we're gonna like shore up the foundation of this thing, we're gonna make slow but meaningful impacts to the game state and increase the quality of our product over time. I mean, that in and of itself is gonna just really up the reputation over the like as more consciousness comes back to the game. Um, that being said, I didn't think of this question that I wish I would have asked um, Rio to think about and maybe ask the design team. But I would like to know, is there a place that the design team would like Force of Will to get to? Have we arrived there?
sure.
Um, like, are there things that the design team is still trying to accomplish? Because they just had kind of like a big design philosophy overhaul, right? With like the reworking protocol, going back to Paradox, kind of like changing a lot of hero cluster as we were going in the Trinity cluster. And so like there was a lot of change there for a hot second.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering like what are their goals for the game?
Yeah, yeah,
Um
and that was
and
kind of asked.
Alejandro, you can put that.
That was kind of asked a
Yeah.
little bit in terms of like design philosophy elements. That was asked in the Q&A today. We didn't get a lot of response back from that, but it is a conversation that I would love to see happen more. Um, Less about design card philosophy and more overall game goal, like goal of the game philosophy. I do think that's an interesting
Yeah.
position.
Yeah, because I think that's something that like the Magic design team communicates very, very well. Even if you don't agree with what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
they're very much open and have been open in the past when they're like, "This is the experience we want for our players. This is what we're trying to cultivate for our players." Um, and we've gotten that. I just want to know, like, in 3 years, where do you want Force of Will to be
Yeah.
as designers?
Yeah.
And I'd be interested in that question.
Yeah, for sure. I do think that one of the things that we have, and Mike, I'll as an indie card game designer, you just recently launched your second game, or is it? It is the second game, right?
It's actually the second. First one is kind of tabled in favor of this second one
Sure.
because I decided
But
to
like
do a whole.
this idea of the juggernaut that is IPs, um, One Piece. The newest one is Gundam, Star Wars Unlimited. We do know that Riftbound is coming out in the coming months or whatever. But we've also had IPs die, right? And Force It will just kind of continues to stick around, right? We're hanging in there. So I do think there's an interesting element there of like what Forza Will has done with an independent IP. I think is truly impressive. And so sometimes I just wonder like how we break through the noise of IP based card games, because I do think we've seen such a resurgence of that to the point of almost, Paul and I have had this conversation a lot, of over reliance on IP, as the IP will get players to stick around even when we do stupid things.
I've gone on record many
Cough,
times.
cough, Lorcana, cough, cough.
I've gone on record many times with friends of mine in group chats in like pretty public places, and the fact that like I shy away from games based off of existing IPs because those games are going to sell no matter what the game's content is like.
Mm-hmm.
Like people like to collect cards of things that they enjoy. It's the reason that Magic is now going into other IPs. Because my fiance Christine tried Commander because they had a Doctor Who deck, and she's a big fan of Doctor Who. So I'm like, clearly it's working, and clearly
Right.
it's going to work, and it's going to continue to work. Pokemon now has status like, well, what Logan Paul has like a Charizard chain around his neck, so suddenly there's a market for Pokemon cards again. Um, One Piece I've heard is a very good game, but like again, it's off the One Piece, it's off of the juggernaut of an IP that's been around since the late '90s. Like
Yeah.
they don't have to try. Dragon Ball died for a little while and then came back later. Sorry, it's 3 times. Thank you, 3 times, and it's still something that people are just going to pick up because they just want to see Gugo and Vigudo on their fucking cards powering up, going ah, and it's like that's fine. That's fine. People can have that, but the designers of those games can make whatever the fuck they want, and people will still buy it.
Yeah, and I do think you'll see something similar right now to I said cough cough Lorcana. I play Lorcana with Alice. That's not a secret, right? We
Just
play on a
have a
weekly
fun Disney
basis.
game, yes, of course.
We were looking forward towards the rotationary element of Lorcana, and I have not been particularly impressed post rotation because they have what's the word? Really, 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 really questionable power balancing issues.
Yeah.
To the point where it went from being incredibly narrow because of X, Y, and Z card to being incredibly narrow because of the new X, Y, and Z card. And that's just like to see that continue to happen over and over again, but there not be pushback for it. In Force of Will's history, like Force of Will doesn't have the security blanket of an IP that power balancing issues didn't cause fractures, like significant fractures, right? And the Disney IP, unfortunately, because of the collectability of it, because of Disney adults just looking for stuff, they're like buffered from the risks of it in a very serious way because of Disney IP. And so like there's an element of that that's really frustrating, right? But there's also an element of it too that this is not me let me put it to you this way. This is not me harping on the community at all. But I do kind of sometimes wish that there was more of a drive in the community to just pick up a camera and do something. Like just feed into the algorithm talking about FOW. If I talk about reach, is that like when you search Forcible TCG, you get 3 things. First, you get my videos. Always, because they always come up. Then, and some mix of that. So then it goes, so it's my videos, some elements of the history of the Force of Will Magic card, or some kind of magic video, and then official channel stuff. And that's just what it is. Because only one source is really feeding into the algorithm for it. And so sometimes I wish that we saw more just people trying it with regards to reach, because sometimes even just feeding into the algorithm that multiple people, like, again, this is a big piece of Lorcana, is there's so many Lorcana content creators. There's so many of them that even if so many of them are so tiny, the fact that so many different people are talking about it naturally feeds the algorithm so people are aware of it, which again also then buffers the game from bad decision making, because it creates a network of discourse and discussion and conflicting positions and everything else, right? Whereas Force Will doesn't really have that. And so, sometimes I wish that we would just see more of that. That's not faulting anyone. Making content is hard. We've been doing it for 11 years, and I fully recognize that making content is hard. And so I'm not trying to chastise anyone for not. There's a part of me that wishes there was more, because I think that it could have some help in again, going back to that recognized vulnerability, right? In the absence of the company wanting to overextend, we can kind of help to serve as the buffer for that by kind of filling in the gaps, right? And so like there's a hope for me, I think, as we go into this new competitive season and 2026 and everything else, that would be kind of my dream for 2026 is we see just a expansion of people just talking about it. Doesn't have to be super well edited. Heck, the feature match that you are going to see literally later this week, just for your note of people making mistakes, 2 of the cards I forgot to resize. So they are giant when they come on the screen, and I also forgot to update who won the match, like in terms of the scores of who won what game.
They all win.
Didn't catch that until I was mid commentary after exporting the raw footage, and I was not going to go back in. So like, just do stuff.
Funny story. I actually have a Force of Will like lore channel that just needs to get launched.
Yeah.
It just needs to get launched. That's all I got to do. So yeah. ChatGPT helps a lot.
Let's see. I'm gonna go back through the comments here. Dragon Ball's on its 4th game. 3rd is still active as well, but both are not doing well. One Piece is a good game, but their main issue is how they run events and a few other things. Collectors are fine. Yep, for sure. Yo-Yo and Bugs are making content as best they can. You get Jeremy, History of Force of Will card, History of Fow, or sometimes RZR content from years ago. Yep, that's what you get. Chad, there are barriers of this kind of entry. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Are there barriers for entry for this kind of content? IP drives the content for Lorcana. It's not the same with Fow. Yep, for sure. I think people are incentivized to make content at bigger games because the more people play the game equals more views, more money. Again, yeah, for sure. That's a fair point, Shinpo, right? Because I do think, again, that brings up an interesting point, right? With regards to making content for Lorcana, I think is a good example. Same with Magic, right? Magic is not dependent on the content that these people are making to be known and played, right?
It's the game.
It's the game. Same with Lorcana. Like Lorcana isn't depending on content creators to be able to be known, right? The game is in the zeitgeist. It's well known. And so there's an element to those types of content creations. Like they don't have to really worry about, oh, is the game going to be around or what do I talk about? They just get to blast out content to try to make money, right? So their mission is there to be formed as a business. And we're very transparent here at Ruler School of the fact that like all of the money that is generated by Ruler School just gets funneled back into Ruler School, like purchasing new equipment. Like this is a hobby, right? So I can recognize that like the work that we're doing is not profit margin driven at all. And so that allows us to be very different, I think, in our approach to content, that we don't really care if we make money or not. Like, because if it was about making money or not, I would have stopped doing this a long time ago. I just really like this game. I like talking about it. But it's that's a very different position to have, and I do think that as a smaller game, again, having to cover the buffer of our content helps buffer the game. You do have to have a kind of different mission. Like you're not making content at that point in time to make money. You're probably just making content because it's fun. And so if you're not having fun making content, like then don't do it. Like I'm not going to say you should go out and make content just because. Like that's going to burn you out so fast. But I do think that I would say if you want to make content and you think it would be fun, don't let the production value of your content stop you from just trying. Go back and watch the very first feature match on this channel. It is so bad. Quality wise, it is awful. Truly bad.
Compared to today, it's not good.
When you compare to now, right? But like
considering what it was at the time, it's like, okay, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, right. We just like made something, and it was fun. So we all had to learn from something. And so I encourage people to do that. Let's see. 2pin, everywhere I still go, old Force of Will TCG that has the channel most recent video is 6 years old. Yeah, because they don't have access to that channel anymore, so they can't shut it down.
Let me say it like this, chat. Let me say it like this. When you get your boxes, I got this thing on Amazon that holds my phone. It was $15. Just set up in front of a mat and just open 3 packs at a time. If you've seen our shorts, that's all I do. I just take one of the boxes we get every set, and I just crack it on camera, and I just try and share that experience. You do not have to, like, it is not high production value at all, and I'm barely entertaining as it is, and I still
That's a
am
lot.
getting like,
Love you, Paul.
I'm still like getting like decent views on those shorts. Like,
Yeah.
People just want content. People just want to share with you like your excitement for the game. So
Yeah.
You don't have to do it for just like all the clout. You don't have to clout chase. You don't have to like content chase. You can
If
literally
you're
just
chasing
make
cloud,
YouTube
don't
channels.
chase it in foul.
Yeah, Fow's not the game for cloud chasing. Yeah.
If you want a cloud, you need to tap 1 to get it off of Wukong. That's how
yeah,
you get
that's
a
true.
cloud.
You do have to pay 1. Go search.
Boo.
Boo. Tabletop Simulator is great. I do want to say that. I would love to start doing more tabletop gameplay, tabletop sim gameplay. I do think that there's an element of the reason why we haven't done more tabletop simulator gameplay here in the channel, to be honest, is because I am a husband and a dad. And so I spend time with my wife in the evenings after spending time with my children during the day. And again, it's not my main business. But, you know, record your games. I know that Maxim Ivanhi, as well as Minha, as well as in some ways Jesse Juckle for the OLS, has just like recorded their tabletop games and just posted them after the fact. Right, of like playing in the OLS, doing stuff like that. XSplit, and you know, if your computer is nice enough to run an XSplit while it's running TTS or OBS, you know, like that's
Live stream.
just record it while you're jamming, right, and then post that. Like it doesn't have to be like. The mission statement of Ruler School has always been to teach people and show people the ins and outs of all of what Force of Will is, right? We have a mission for that purpose. And so we have very, not scripted, but very intentional matchups when we put them on the channel, and very intentional goals of what kind of decks we're trying to play. That's our goal. That's our mission statement. If you just want to have a gameplay channel where you're just like, hey, I'm playing Force of Will, great. Who cares? Again, I do think that Force of Will's, you know, biggest issue right now is reach, and sometimes I just think that feeding the algorithm a little bit more could go a long way for that. Broke my last case at the shop. My friend works part-time, and that the owner still loved to had to show him and my friend the swag from CV as well. Yeah. Let's live stream Battle Simulator, CFC cluster only, but whatever.
Let's go.
I do kind of.
If you can get me access to the battle simulator, that'd be impressive. I have no idea how you would even get that.
I would love to like see if there's a way that we could like plug new cards into the old battle sim. That would be so sick. If you could update the databases for it. Gosh, that would be so sick. Someone hands the battle sim to you
Neeb?
to Neeb. Neeb!
Neebvalungen.
Neeb Valungen.
We summon you. We tap red, black for Neebvalungen on the chase. You can't cancel him.
Oh, yep. Unchaseable. Resolves.
Unchaseable.
Fucking untouchable.
No, not untouchable. I didn't say untouchable. I said unchaseable. It's different. It's different.
You're right.
Players cannot
Okay.
chase to this card. Players cannot chase to this card.
It's technically also not open source, so I don't know if we can do that.
Is it not?
Can we?
Didn't it get made open source?
No, the company that that helped them build the simulator shot that down.
Oh, that's right. They wanted. That's
the
right. I do
statute of
remember that.
limitations
They
on it?
wanted to make it open source, but then it got shut down. Yes, I do remember this. That I do remember. No. Oh, hey, Joe's here.
That being said,
statute of
in the
limitations.
Q&A, it got brought up. So like, I just want to keep this in mind, right? The company, like, Rio selected certain questions to try and answer.
And the first one was ours.
The first one was Ruler School San. But like Neebs, Robert. Like there was a lot of questions that got left out, but there were only certain questions that got put in the video. Just saying, that was not an accident.
Yeah. Well, as we close our
From
conversation
a media
today,
literacy perspective.
as we
Yeah.
close out our conversation tonight, which I think has been great, I do want to just open it up to kind of questions. We can mailbag it. You can ask anything. We'll do a little AMA for me, Paul, or Mike.
Ask me anything. I know a lot.
No, trust me. Diane's image was yes. We did get the name of one of the upcoming rulers, which is Diane, and she's like we saw that, so we have a ruler there. I'm excited
Sugary,
for what
sweet little
yeah,
girl.
Sugary sweet little girl. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Sugary sweet student. The little girl part is like, yeah, okay. Let's be a little bit careful here.
I'm not calling her daddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird.
We're not,
On
I'm
so
not
many
going down
levels.
that road.
TCG Prime asks, why do you always disconnect, Mike?
Because
That's so funny. I thought you were going to disconnect right as you started answering that question.
Because
listen, man, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes
He clicked that on purpose. I convinced he clicked that on purpose to disconnect himself.
I'm convinced as well.
Joe, am I pitching an East Coast event for 2026? So right now, our focus for Ruler School is 100%.
tech issues.
Did you click it on purpose to disconnect yourself there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
was-
that's what I
was
thought.
me.
That is what I thought.
Yeah, that was not legit. I did it was today, not planned.
Yeah. So our current focus right now for Ruler School is FowFest 2026, the circuit kits, and then seeing what possibilities we could have to be able to travel, maybe try to help serve as a advocate and mouthpiece for the game at conventions. That's kind of our thought process of what we'd like to try to do. Right now I'm leaving any competitive events, GP conversations, anything like that in the very capable hands of Games and Geek, and letting them run the show. Because they've been doing it for a while, they have the connections and everything else. So right now we're just focused on FowFest, the circuit kits, which we're gonna be announcing the newest circuit kit probably in the next couple weeks. I got to request the artwork and stuff for that to get ready for that one. And then again, the ones for this quarter that were delayed are finally at their stores for people to start running there. So no new plans for us at this point. We're just kind of trying to make sure we again, don't overextend because burnout is real and I don't want to deal with it. I'm not dealing with it right now and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm being smart about it.
It sucks.
Yeah. Any other questions for anybody?
AMA, guys.
Mike, here's my question for you.
Me?
Yeah, I'll play for Matt.
Ooh, I plan on playing. I plan on coming to yours, Dan, to win the champ mat. Because I have to give away this champ mat. So I'm gonna win the champ mat. So no mercy. Fox.
Yeah, this guy Fox for sure.
We're all just gonna play Fox at this event, aren't we?
Just so much, and I will win every single one because I have so much practice on the Fox mirror. Let's go.
Kong, 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 kong. What's that sound in the distance? Kong, 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 kong. What's happening? What's coming towards us? It's foxes. Oh my gosh.
You have 9 RCQs and 3 set champs next month already. That's pretty impressive. What else did I say? This is what I say. Mike.
Hello.
When it becomes time to put the time spinning witch feature match, would you be down for practicing the deck and having that feature match video be versus Mike Rants on time spinning witch and get you actually on the channel for gameplay footage in a match?
really twisted my arm here, Jeremy. You really just like, oh, I don't know, man. Yes, obviously.
Hey, Mike Rance feature match 2025 confirmed. Let's go. We'll get him back on here. It'll be good. Good lord, that's a lot of Dan. Riftbound release. Steam telling me that there's an autumn sale. Scheduling it on a day all those are happening would be good exposure. Ooh. Have us play the circuit event when a bunch of other people are also there, so that they have to watch us play foul. I don't hate that. Dave still exists as a message. What is my top 3 favorite ATD cards? So Paul and I have seen. Paul and I have actually like played with a bunch of them, and have them in our hands here. I really like. I'll go with 3. I'll go with 3 of the Wanderer cards, and I'll go with 3 of the Paradox cards. I'll do that. On the Paradox exclusive cards, I'll do my favorite 3. I really like Grandma Carlina's Essential Ingredients. I really like Forbidden Experimentation, and I really like the. I'm still kind of debating on my third one. It's probably a tie between Hindered Magic Duel or the grounds, Protection of the Grounds. Those are kind of my 3. For Wanderer, let me grab all these other things. My top 3 is very clearly Reika, followed by Reika, and then Reika. It's not close.
Not even close.
But really, honestly, I think my favorite 3 so far have been Reika, Scrivener, and Midnight Griffin, the pirate ship. Those are my top 3 for right now.
Oh, nice. I would say Nocturne. I really like Orpheus. Not even necessarily from like a gameplay perspective, but I love the creation behind that card, and just giving Fallen Angels just another recharge, I think is really, really cool.
Orpheus drinking a 40 in the death basket.
And then I would also say Scrivener. Like that has really made me start thinking about like what rulers from Trinity Cluster now have a little bit more life in them, and I think that makes a good card.
Yeah.
I wish it was a Paradox card. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I do kind of wish it was a Paradox card too, but I understand.
I get it. A little too broad in terms of its application. I get it. In terms of Paradox, I really do like Protection. It's good that we're gonna have that kind of like that Fates Reunited effect to some degree still like maintained in the game. I know Jeremy and I have talked about it. Demon's Blood is really good. But I still really like Surveillance as a generic rune card.
Yeah. Yeah. Surveillance went from being a 4 of to being a just in the rune deck card, which I think is just fine.
Yeah.
Just fine.
But just like tutor out a Dorian seems good still. And the Hindered Magic Duel is good in Paradox, but also has applications in Wanderer because of Olivia. So
it's a 2-cost water spell.
2-cast water chant.
2-cast water chant. Demon's Blood is a mean card. Question: any tips for clickbaiting? If I could answer that, I would have. If I knew an answer to that, I would tell you, but I'm terrible at it, so I don't. I do want to say that clickbaiting is only. How do I say this? Clickbaiting is only useful if the potential for market exposure of a clickbait style video is there. And I think right now, Forza Will is a little bit too small for clickbaiting approaches to even really have the chance to catch something. Now, that being said, I think that it would be very cool if we could like put together the money to get like Pleasant Kenobi or MTG Goldfish or like something like that to then talk about FOW. Right? Like that to me would be
Go hard.
so cool. Like, and I say this because like I've been watching more Pleasant Kenobi stuff, and he does kind of just cover. There's like nothing that he's not willing to talk about, right? So he does seem kind of like the YouTuber that like if you had a shot, you could probably talk to him about something like this, and he'd be willing to give it like a genuine effort. But it's a matter of like, how do you do that? How do you get someone like that to be willing to talk about it? I joked about the fact of like, hey, if I had enough money, how much would it cost to host an entire episode of Commander at Home with Kibler and play ABC format? Like, bring like how cool would that be, right? Of getting like him and Olivia and like me and then one other member of the Force of Will community to like come out and play, or even like another Magic player, right? Who's like maybe known, maybe heard about Force of Will or something, to sit down at a table and play ABC format with like the ABC starter decks and do a Commander at Home that way. Like, that would be sick, right? And I think that would be cool because then we're like it's about that breaking into the zeitgeist of the other areas of communication. But like, that's expensive, understandably so. They're very successful. Like we don't, that kind of stuff. CCG Prime, yeah, it does have foul content. So doing something like that, like if we could get, if he wasn't so busy with the new twins, LSV has been doing some videos with other game creators. I don't know who LSV is.
Oh, you don't know Luis Scott Vargas?
I
Big
don't.
MTG pro.
Oh, okay.
Good dude.
Well,
I just
yeah.
nope.
All right.
It like
He's neat.
that's one of the things of like, reach, right? We talk about reach of it would be cool to be able to do that, or like a clickbaiting title. If we were to get Pleasant Kenobi to talk about it, that exact same video is how is this dead game still alive? That would be a video that I would kind of think that MTG Goldfish or Pleasant Kenobi would make. Like, that would be the title I could see him using to talk about Force of Will, right? But we got to get him to talk about Force of Will first, right? That's the whole problem. It's like clickbaiting doesn't work if you don't have the capacity for clickbaiting to attract the audience. And so you need a certain size audience or virality to be able to have something like that work.
Here's a question, Alejandro. And I don't know. I'm just curious because we have this relationship with the company that other games just don't have. What's the for you, buddy. What's the estimated player base from the side of the company? Like, do they have an estimated size of the player base?
Hey, Dan, don't do 4 p.m. on 10/19 for your circuit event. That's literally the weekend of the Discord circuit event for Ruler School. So, no thank you. No thank you. Just saying. More conversation to be had in the future. I think this is great. I hope you all will be just some kind of housekeeping stuff as we close up. Feature match this week is a finalized kind of upgraded version of Matilda versus Valgot. It was recorded pre-coming ban list, pre most recent ban list. So you'll see uppercuts in the Valgot deck. But the deck profile part of it won't have those in there. We'll also be spending this week getting caught up on deck profiles with Larinka and Symphony and Valentio, so be tuned for that. And then we'll be back next week getting into ATD feature matches. I'm pretty excited about that. Our first feature match next week will be Utsunes with the Theater versus Electra with Osiris, which is going to be pretty exciting. So thank you all so much for being here and for engaging in this lovely conversation and just being part of this awesome community. And don't forget, sometimes if it's just about
Thanks for being you.
Turning on a camera and making some content. Just know that we started with wearing some very stupid gloves, having no microphone, no overlays, and putting a camera on a tripod and recording some really bad gameplay. So if we can do it and get to where we are now, you can too. So don't be afraid of it. So until next time, though, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined, as always, by Paul Reisman, taking his bow on the theater.
Oh, chocolate.
And Mike Rance closing the curtains.
Don't look! Don't look!
Class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.